Stop.
Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Newcastle. I lost my plot already. That's gone so well. My name's Joe. I'm going to host today, and it's a bit of a Tactics Tuesday / match preview because we obviously have one of the biggest games in our history coming up because we have to believe that we are going to secure this and we're going to make the final for the second time in a couple of seasons. So let's go, boys. However, first of all, I will introduce my co-pod whatevers, pals, mates. I'm excited, you can tell. First up, we have the Don, Mr. Iain McKay. How are you doing?
I am absolutely delighted to be your co-pod whatever, and I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. How are you doing, Joe?
You've been called worse, right?
I have been called worse. I've been called worse today, so don't worry.
Well, there we go, you see. Peaked early. It's fine. The other one you might have heard squeak up there is my girl. It's Nick.
Squeak up. Hello.
Squeak up. All I heard was early. Cool. Happy days. Pretty much going to go straight into it, really. It's been a bit of a time in the last few matches for Newcastle. The so-called blip that I called Bournemouth may not have been a blip. Slight concern, especially because the Southampton game was, even though we won it, again, not our greatest performance. So again, the last few games have been a bit tumultuous. Let's call it that. I'm going to come straight to you guys really with how are you feeling about Wednesday, probably based on how we've kind of played in the last three games. Iain, I'll come to you first. Are you nervous? Is it like making you any more nervy for Wednesday, or are you still feeling all right, like as you did the last time I talked to you?
I'm nervous. Of course, I'm nervous. Like you said, probably the biggest game since at least since that home match against AC Milan in the Champions League. What was that? Must have been 2 years ago. Wasn't just last year, was it? Last season, anyway. So I'm quite nervous, and I am increasingly thinking that the Bournemouth game wasn't just a blip, which I feared that we are going to the well too many times with our first choice 11. I think that's why it was a bit of an in and out performance against Southampton. I know we were fabulous for parts of it, but we were a bit indifferent for our other parts of it. And that's why we just sort of went off the boil and cooled off and lost a game we should have won against Fulham. Now, I think you can trace that all the way back to the last fabulous performance, which was when we won 2-0 at Arsenal. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of hoping that that means that they'll be on it in a way that they were on it after they were played indifferently against Manchester City, against Liverpool, against Arsenal in the league. And then that they'll be fully focused. And they've probably a little bit subconsciously maybe been saving themselves for this game. Ultimately, we come into it with a 2-goal start, which has got to be a help, given that we've beaten them 3 of the last 4 home league games for the last 4 seasons. The only thing that makes you think is it is Arsenal. They are a super team. I mean, they stuck Manchester City on Sunday. Yeah. So, still confident that we'll get through, but definitely nervous that a goal in the first 10 minutes for Arsenal will mean it'll be the worst game to sit through.
Probably.
There you go. That's where I am.
No, it's understandable, isn't it? We're obviously naturally going to be nervous, and I'd like to think, or what I'm convinced of anyway, and I said it while I was watching Nady's pre-match conference before the Fulham game, that, look, he can say all he wants about only looking to the next game, but there's no way the master tactician that is Eddie Howe is not looking beyond the first game. Plus, if you go back to the players themselves, who are the ones at the end of the day who are going to actually directly impact the result, there's no way those guys aren't thinking beyond the game and haven't got one eye on the next game, especially with it being the semi-final and then potentially in the final. We saw what happened in the build-up of the final last time against Man U. We just kind of weren't on it. There was always that kind of, almost like the players maybe didn't want to get booked, didn't want to get suspended, didn't want to get injured. It's just a natural human reaction. We can't really blame them. So that's my thoughts on it. And I want to kind of hope that that's why the results haven't been as they were. So this blip was almost caused by distraction in that sense. So, Nick, what are your thoughts on that as well?
Well, if we're nervous, they are bound to be nervous. Now, I know they're obviously professional footballers and, they're expected to, just keep going and chipping away at every game. But you guys are probably right. This semi-final is probably undoubtedly the biggest game of our season so far. So it probably is a little bit distracting to them because it's distracting to me. I can't concentrate. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't focus on anything else other than that bloody Wednesday game. And I am honestly so nervous. So I don't know how they're feeling. Obviously, Eddie Howe, like you say, will be, we're only focusing on the game that's in front of us. But there's absolutely no way that not one of them or him are focusing on that Wednesday game because, like we say, we've got a 2-0 lead. We've seemed to have hit a bit of a blip, and whether that blip is because players are distracted or they're a little bit like, don't want to get booked, don't want to get injured, I've got a big game coming up. But Arsenal, and it pains me to say it because their manager does my head in. They are a really, really good side on their day. I mean, I've seen them play at their worst, but they are a good side on their day. And just because we're at home, it is not a game to just be, we're going to be okay because we've now had Bournemouth and Fulham that have come to St. James Park and beat us. So, yeah, guys, I'm really nervous. I am going to be watching that game through my fingers. I know I am. I'm going to be so scared. I'm not going to be able to sit through the whole 90 minutes. So, don't know how you guys are feeling because you're there.
I'm getting drunk.
Kev made a good point last night. Kev made a good point last night, which is very encouraging for us, I think, in that both Fulham and Bournemouth beat us because they didn't allow us to get any sort of rhythm built up in the midfield. Whenever the ball was turned over, we didn't get a chance to move it because there was a little niggly foul or a push.
Yeah, true.
And you look at those stats, Bournemouth committed twice as many fouls as we did. I think it was 10 to 16 for Fulham. So there were a lot of little fouls that didn't even get bookings, really, but just disrupted the flow of the game. And we therefore couldn't build up any sort of head of steam. Our transition was stopped in its tracks, and that's where we're really effective. And if you look at how Arsenal are going to tackle the game, I don't think they will be playing like that. They'll be bringing it to us because they're another team that attacks. So we ought to be able to be afforded the opportunity to play our natural game, and that should mean that we're able to be a little bit more free flowing than we were in either the Bournemouth game or the Fulham game. Anyway, it made sense when Kev was explaining it last night, and I'm clinging onto it.
No, it does. I listened to last night's pod, this morning's pod, whatever you want to call it. You guys made a lot of great points. I said in the group chat, obviously, I was almost like a nodding dog, kind of nodding along with you guys with what you were saying and stuff like that. But I'll touch on a bit more of that actually in part 2 after we've done an ad, because there are certain things I want to talk about with certain players as well. So I'll bring that up in a second. I think based on that, what we will do is we'll cut the first ad. So, Nick, do you reckon you can do the first ad for us being the Zencastr one, please, my dear?
I think I can.
Got that to hand?
Yes, I
Thank
do.
you.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it is super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Very good.
Really good.
Cool. It's good when we do it without tripping ourselves up, isn't it? It's great.
Yeah, that's the first time this year for me, and we're a month in.
Well, we're working on it as girls, aren't we? Cool. Yeah, what kind of said at the end of the part 1 there was a lot of what I want to talk about in part 2, about really do we feel like there's going to be many or any, probably more likely, changes before the Arsenal game. And the reason I'm probably stressing on that is because I really do think there needs to be something, because I think in a way we've got a bit lax. Like Ian, you've just mentioned about the midfield and how they were able to disrupt the midfield, because when that midfield works well, it works brilliantly and we're almost unstoppable as a result. But if people are able to disrupt that flow in the midfield, or able to just pass straight through as sometimes it looks, it is a real detriment to us. And one of the players that people will probably shoot me down for saying this, but Big Joe has been off his game massively in the last few games, to the point I would actually do something as drastic as drop him in, and I would probably bring in the likes of Miley, and then just see how the game goes. Can't speak. Big Joe would be on the bench. Joe Willock would be on the bench. There's still options if it wasn't working, but I think we need to freshen up something in the midfield. Potentially other positions, but that would be my kind of main concern because I don't know what's going on with Joe at the minute. He's a bit of a bulldozer. He's just not been sharp in my eyes. I don't know. Do you guys have any opinions on what I'm saying there? Do you think any other players need to be kind of rotated, if you want to call it that?
Well, I think the time for rotation has passed. We wanted the first team refreshed and fully fit for this game,
Mm.
and I think looking at how we played in the last 3 games, maybe even the Wolves game as well, I think that there was certainly opportunities to rotate in the midfield with either Willock or Miley starting for Joe Linton. I think there was definitely opportunities for rotation in defence
Yeah.
with Trippier starting for Livramento, with Botman coming in to give either Dan Burn, probably not Dan Burn, definitely Fab Shah, who I know you two are the main cheerleaders for the Fab Shah fan club. I'm in the Fab Shah fan club, but he has been off it since he came
Yeah,
back
I
from this
agree.
virus,
Yes.
I
No,
think.
he is.
I've got a few points to make on him too. Don't you worry.
And I don't know how you do it, but we could have done in previous games. We could have started a Miggy and given Jacob Murphy a start on the bench, and just mixed it up a little bit like that, just to keep that freshness, just to keep them the first pick guessing as to whether they really were the first pick. But I think the moment's passed. I think you've got to play your best team against Arsenal. But on their performances, I'm not sure. Joe Linton is one of the 3 best midfielders in the squad at the minute. I'm not sure Fab Shah is one of the 2 best centre halves at the minute, and I'm not sure Tino Livramento is the best right back in the squad at the minute. So
I
it'll be
agree.
up to Eddie in training to see who's hanging and how they're going to make his choice. My gut feel with Eddie is that he'll just go with the same 11, and hopefully the crowd and the occasion will revitalise those players like it did when we went in to play Liverpool, having had a disappointing result the weekend before, like it did when we played Arsenal at home and won in the league, because it was disappointing the weekend before that. So, but we're guessing, and we shouldn't be guessing. I think we could have rotated nearly everybody in that first team to at least sit out starting one of those last 3 or 4 games. The point I'm making is that it's like Eddie doesn't trust his squad players until he really has to, and then you get squad players that step up, like Dubravka, like, let's be honest, Jacob Murphy, like
Absolutely.
Louis Miley. These squad players come in and do a fantastic job. So who's to say that you wouldn't get a? And in fact, Emil Kraft did it earlier in the year earlier in the season when Fab Shah was suspended. Came in and played 3 really solid games at centre half. So why can't Crafty start in the away match at Southampton and leave Fab Shah on the bench?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we're winning 3-0, then let Shah have the day off. Let him have a rest.
Yeah.
That's what rotation is for, which is why I think we've missed the boat. I think there is an opportunity, even in our skinny squad, to do that.
Yeah.
And everybody could have started one of these last 4 games not playing. They might have had to come on. I don't suppose we could have done much without Isak coming on. But he'd have scored 2 in the last 30 minutes against Southampton anyway if he'd come on for that. So I think that my potential changes are at right back, at centre half, and at midfield. I would agree. I don't know whether I would do it in the massive game against Arsenal, and I don't think Eddie will.
I don't think he will, and that's what I fear, because, like you say, I think we've massively missed the boat. However, what do? Keep playing a team that just... I'm not saying it's not working, but to a degree it's not. These guys are either burnt out. I don't know. If I'm honest, right, I hope we're having this conversation, right, and then the likes of Big Joe has his greatest game.
Yeah.
on Wednesday night, and it was just like, please prove me wrong. Please make me look stupid. I'm begging at this point. Nick, I've obviously singled out Big Joe, and Ian's obviously pulled out a few players there. Is there anyone that probably stands out for you aside from that should maybe not be? It sounds weird
Not
to say
big drop.
dropping, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Rotated.
Can I make a few points on this, because I have quite, I guess, maybe strong feelings about the strong starting 11 that we have, because we have no other option of that starting 11. Let's be honest. Kev, Ian, me, you, and Kev literally had this conversation, I think, last week about the quality of our bench and, rotating players, like you've just said. And we're all worried because the bench isn't as of quality as the starting 11 that we've seen over recent weeks. And I get that, and I totally get it. And go on.
I intervene there and say, I know we had that conversation,
Yeah.
and you and Kev meant we couldn't do it. My
No.
point, and the one I
Yeah.
made earlier on, is that you've got to do it. And the fact that you don't think the people on the bench are going to be good enough to start the game is blown out of the water. When you see when Dubravka's thrown in because Pope's injured, he's excellent.
Yeah.
When Miley came in last year, he stood out. He stood out as a class midfielder.
I wasn't disagreeing.
Jacob Murphy, he tried everybody. Honestly, Jason Tyndall nearly played on the right wing before they put Murphy back in.
No,
And
I
he's been
wasn't.
brilliant since come back in.
I wasn't disagreeing with what you were saying. What I was saying is we have missed the boat completely on rotating the squad because our game's on Wednesday now. So I wasn't disagreeing with that. But what I do believe in is there's obviously a reason why the players on the bench aren't starting in Eddie's eyes.
Yeah.
And we have to think there. Like, he's seeing obviously something different from the starting 11 he's picking to the people on the bench. But what I am going to say, and I cannot believe I'm sat here on the 3rd of February about to complain about it, because it's not like me to complain, is it? I think over the last couple of games, we are a side that are crying out for new faces. And this is what happens when top players, like you say, Big Joe is not performing well. Fab Shah looks a little bit tired, and the rest aren't pulled up with them. So the bench isn't pulled up. Their bench isn't up to the standard of the starting 11. So when the starting 11 that we see, the strong starting 11, are tired, the bench aren't even up to their standard to even come on to make a big impact. So we are a side, I'm not really explaining myself very well at all, but we are a side that is just crying out for new faces for the
No,
starting
you're right.
11.
It's like a
And
stale thing, isn't it?
it is a stale thing. We're kind of a bit stagnant. And I feel bad saying that about the players that are sitting on the bench, because they are players that have performed and shown us that they can do what they can do, and that we can rely on when we need to rely on. Likes of, yes, okay, I give Sean Longstaff a hard time, but he does give in a good graft when he needs to. Emil Kraft, we can rely on these players, but it's not the quality that Newcastle really should be having. And we have a bench with just no real impact, and it's a shame, because when the starting 11 start to fatigue, like we are seeing, there's no impact that comes on, and you can see the frustration with Eddie, but he could only work with what he's got. So it's one of them.
Yeah.
As for Wednesday, I agree with Ian. I would take Livramento out. I think this is a game that Kieran Trippier should be starting. Because he's got his experience, he's calm, he's collected, and that transpires onto the pitch. And I feel like the players just look a lot more calm. I would also maybe drop Fabian Shah. Drop, obviously, being a stronger word than what I'm intending it to be. And I would start Botman, because I am of the Botman fan club. And again, an impactful player. Start him. No excuses, Eddie. I want to see him starting. I wouldn't change Bruno and Tonali. I don't feel like they deserve to come off. Big Joe's a hard one, because who do you replace him with? Joe Willock, yes,
Honestly,
okay. However, he came on Saturday and did nothing for me, and I feel so bad saying that, but I don't know what's going on with him at the minute. However, that is a player, and I'm just going to make this point on the podcast, and I've got strong feelings about it, so I don't know if you guys have seen it. He came off the pitch on Saturday and shared on his Instagram story and his Twitter the absolute disgusting racial abuse that he got from so-called Newcastle fans, and whoever that was should be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
They're not fans, chick.
No, they're
There's
not
no
fans.
way those people are
But
fans.
that
I
is
don't
a
even think
player.
they.
it's
They're just
just
trolls, man.
disgusting. It's disgusting, and it's not nice to see. And as a player that's probably mentally not there anyway at the minute, knows his performances aren't up to scratch, and is having a bit of a struggle. But they all go through it. It's a struggle. Is a player that we probably need to be behind. So if we see him come in for the likes of Big Joe, I do hope that the home crowd are behind him.
I think we will. I think the stadium will go nuts for him personally.
Me too. Sorry, I've gone on off a bit of a tangent.
It's all right.
But
We agree.
Eddie Howe is working with a team that, January 2024, no first team signing. Summer 2024, no first team signing because we wasted about 85 days on Mark Gahey. January 2025 so far, and doesn't look like anything's going to happen. No first
Not
team
even
signing.
alone.
So I'm just going to stop. Yeah, not even alone. So I am just going to end this of he can only work with what he's got. The boys
Yeah.
they're going to come out. They're going to be confident. We just got to get behind them. Those are the 3 changes I'd probably make. We're 5th in the Premier League. We're 10 wins from 12. We're still in both domestic cups. We've got
We're
it.
cool.
Now I'm going to
We're
breathe
cool.
and I'm going to stop talking.
You're fine.
Good,
It was
good
lovely.
point.
Well done.
I don't think he'll drop Joe Linton because I think he
No,
might have
I don't
told
think he
Joe
will.
Linton. I think he might have told Joe Linton in the last few games, Joey, don't get a red card. You don't want a
Yeah.
3-game ban, so you miss that. And if he's only at 95%, that might explain why he didn't look like he's on it the whole of the way through.
Good point.
My fear for Joe Linton was he got a little bit of a bash on
He
the
did.
match on Saturday of whether he's actually going to be fit enough. But that
Mm.
might give
That's
Howe
true.
an excuse to rest Joe Linton and bring Joe Willett, Sean Longstaff,
Yeah.
whoever it is. To
True,
be fair, Longstaff, Tonali, and Bruno was the first choice midfield.
They can work well
Start of the
together, to be
season.
fair. Yeah.
They do work well together,
They do.
particularly if it's Trippier that's playing on the right. So he's got his options. I think we will see Trippier. I think we will see. I would love Botman to come in alongside Byrne because that was the centre back partnership that won at Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another big question: do you stick with Dubravka or do you bring Pope back in at this point? Because Pope is first choice goalkeeper.
I think he'll stick with Dubravka. He doesn't deserve to be dropped, in my
I
opinion.
think he will as well. Although
I think he needs
he
to.
was
Yeah.
pretty dreadful the way he lined up the wall for that free kick that was the Fulham winner.
Mm.
I don't think he deserves to be dropped. He's got 2 out of the
No.
6
All in
saves
all, he
of the
hasn't
month.
done enough wrong, has he?
No. Okay.
Guys, I'm seeing things on social media that Nick Pope should be sold in the summer.
Oh,
Newcastle
shock.
fans go from one extreme to the other, man. I
Oh,
don't think
they're
Nick
just
Pope deserves to
ridiculous,
be
man.
sold. Oh, I think Nick Pope on his day is a brilliant keeper, and he's been absolutely phenomenal for us. It's just a shame for him. Now he's back in a situation where he's fighting for his place because Martin Dubravka's hit an all-time prime, clearly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
True.
So, yeah,
Peak dubs.
yeah. I mean, I'm Martin Dubravka's biggest critic. I was all for him going, and then he decided was like, no, I'm gonna show you guys, and
I'll show you how to play.
and that he has done. So yeah,
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, we'll touch on some more stuff, but I think we'll get the other ad all wrapped up as well. So, Ian, are you ready?
No, that was what we
No?
were doing at the beginning. I'm sitting in the wrong part of the room to have my script. So I was
Nick,
pointing at Nicola
can you
for
do
doing
two?
both of the adverts. That was
I've got it. Right,
Fine.
you want me to do 2?
Who
Okay, I'll do
cares?
2.
You do too, Nick. Go.
I'll do
yeah.
2.
Anyway, I'm glad you picked up the clues and we didn't have to discuss it on air.
Same. I'm sick
It's
of my own voice
fine.
as well
Whatever
now,
the
but
professionals, come on.
I'll give the GSPN advert. The Global Sports Podcast Network is changing the face of football podcasting with dedicated daily content for every Premier League team, women's football, a dedicated Premier League wrap-up in 5 different languages. This is your one-stop shop for your daily football fix. Find the GSPN wherever you find your usual podcasts.
Happy
Well
days.
done.
And sorry, I missed the hand signals at the start because I
So
was
did
too busy
I. Don't
messing
you
up.
worry.
It's all right. I know you guys were hand signaling at each other, but like everyone has
thought it-
already
yeah.
heard. I was too busy messing up the intro. So, I was kind of already distracted by my own wonderful self.
Brilliant.
So,
I think
anyway.
Nicola just thought I was having some kind of fit.
I thought we were just doing like
like
a
seizure or
I was
something.
having a little bit of one of those,
bit of a rave.
But anyway, we've got it sorted.
I love
What's
that.
part 3
Excellent.
about, Joanne?
Part 3. I was going to say something about Eddie, which I was going to say in the last part, but, I realised that we needed to get the ad in. So anyway, what my only point about Eddie in this game is, and I said it immediately after the 2-0 win, was that I think that man will manage the hell out of Wednesday. As in, whether it means we play a very boring game and we get through it, I don't care. The main aim is to get through it, right? And I'm not saying I want a boring game, but if that's what we've got to do, and I'm not saying, by the way, he's going to play 5-5-0 like he did so
No, he won't.
successfully at the end of the other one for 90 minutes. We can't kind of stand that pressure. But I think we might try to pressure them at first. It would be amazing if grab a goal, party time, then we try and manage it properly. But look, he knows what he's doing, and that's what I said before the Fulham game as well. There's no way he hasn't got an idea, and there's no way he hasn't got a plan for what he's going to do on Wednesday. The guy is like, that's all he does. He's just a tactical genius. So anyway, that's all I want to say about Eddie, because yeah, he's a tactical genius. So I was going to actually move on to, we're going to do a predictions, but we'll leave that pretty much to last. And then I was going to put a bit of a positive spin on it, and we're going to fully go in with all the kind of positive vibes
Positive
that
vibes.
we're going to do this. And then what's everyone's plans for the final, man? Where we're doing it, where we're watching it. I mean, obviously none of us are going to Wembley, but we could dream, right?
I think Kev will be going Wembley, right? Is
I try to. Has he got like a waypoint, or does he just count on the ballot?
Kev a season ticket holder?
But then it goes on points and stuff, I think, apparently.
Oh,
well, it did the last time. All the different levels of points, and then a ballot at the end or something.
Yeah, you're right.
I think what Kev had as a season ticket holder was that he'd opted in to the cup scheme, which would have
You don't automatically get Wembley, though.
No, not on the cup scheme. You're not offered those tickets first as a season ticket holder.
Can you not remember the last final 2 years ago? What they did was they basically staggered it, and then there was stuff like who had been to all the games for starters, so you had to go to all the cup games building up. That helped you.
Away.
I think it's from away points when it came into it. I have as well. And then it all boiled down to even members got a chance. I mean, it was probably the slimmest of slim chance, considering now we've got about 200,000 members, or however many the club decide to sell. But there is a tiny, tiny little section for some little stragglers at the end. But then it depends on the allocation as well, doesn't it? Because the allocation was pretty much the amount of season ticket holders were had, sorry. But then again, as I say, they did keep a tiny little fraction left for members, much to the uproar of some season ticket holders, but that's a whole different conversation that I don't want to have right now.
That's a whole different pod, yeah.
We're not going to Wembley then. We've got to
so
find
Kev will potentially be going to Wembley.
Kev will obviously be trying, and yeah, he's got a better chance than us. We've got this super teeny slime,
really teeny chance,
teeny tiny one. But let's say we're not. But say the team is the main thing, right?
We don't care
so
as long as they're there. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're all meeting up. We're all watching
plans? What's our plans, people, for the final if we get there? When we get there?
You guys know the Strawberry's the place to be, surely, because Shearer's Bar was a bloody nightmare last time, put that way. So not an option in my opinion. Yeah, I'm going nowhere near Shearer's Bar. Sorry, it was just crap. Have you guys watched a match in Shearer's Bar, by the way? Have you experienced a match
yes, I have.
Bar?
Yeah.
They don't do any pre-match commentary, nothing. No. So it was just dancey, as my dad described it as, what's this bloody dance music? We're supposed to be watching the football. But it was just music played all the way up until kickoff. Kickoff happened. Half-time happened, and instead of putting any commentary or any football discussion during half-time, they started playing 15 minutes of music again. And then the second half started, and then the second the match finished, the music came back on. So yeah, it was not a proper football watching experience. And the fact that we lost obviously really dug in the badness at the end. But yeah, it's not the place to be anyway. So that's not where we're watching it.
I am in a... Oh, go on, Ian, sorry.
I was going to say, can I say I'm not tempting fate by even thinking about where I'm going to watch it until we are there. Okay?
Just the if game.
I like that. I am... I'm not sure yet. Obviously, if we make it, I'll probably be coming up north. However, I am in a awful situation because potentially Liverpool may do Tottenham over on I think it's Thursday they play, isn't it? And my husband...
Is it? Are they not playing at the same time as us?
No, I don't think so. I think it's Thursday or Tuesday. I don't know, maybe double check.
You're right. No, sorry, chick. I've just checked. I had totally forgot to even look at them.
And my husband is a massive Liverpool fan. And obviously I'm a Newcastle fan, hence why I'm on the Newcastle pod. And we have never been in this situation before where we could be in a cup final together, and I can't even watch a Premier League game with him when it comes to Liverpool and Newcastle. So, yeah,
100% not final.
we'll see what happens there. Or Big Ange is going to do his, we win a trophy every second year of my management, so he might make it, but who knows? So yeah,
I am rooting for Tottenham in that second leg of the semi-final. They've got a lead to defend as well, haven't they?
they have
Although
1-0.
it is at Anfield. It is at Anfield. But
I was going to
hey,
say,
did they win away? Was it at Brentford yesterday?
I think it was, yeah.
So that's only the second team to win at Brentford all season. So, maybe Ange has had a little bit of healing with all of those injuries and he can turn a decent clean sheet performance away from home. You definitely need another one by them on whenever they're playing.
Yeah.
But Spursy are so Spursy, you never know what you're going to get. They'll either get annihilated on Thursday by Liverpool, or they'll actually put up a fight and actually end up seeing it through and get through the final. They're so unpredictable.
They're so unpredictable, aren't they?
It'll be one to watch, that's for sure. So
absolutely,
that's cool. I'm glad they're on a different night because I really hadn't checked when they were playing. I just assumed it might be the same night.
I've got Sky Sports literally to my right, and I've just seen the fixtures on the bottom headline. So I was like, oh, they're Thursday. So my marriage could be over if Liverpool and Newcastle make the final.
As long as we win.
Exactly.
All that matters, right?
What
Can you imagine it being over and we've lost?
Oh,
what do you think the scores are going to be?
Yeah, let's do our predictions because it is time.
Oh, don't. Guys, I feel sick.
For the first time this season, I'm going to predict a draw. I'm going to predict a draw.
Whoa, no, I can't. I cannot deal with that.
You're predicting a draw?
For the first time this season, I'm going to predict a draw.
Oh.
1-1.
How much of a draw?
1-1.
1-1.
Ian, what are you going for?
Oh, God, blimey. I want to be confident.
I was going to say, can you do your normal?
I was just about to say we lose 2-1 at home like we did against Fulham, but still go through. I'm not going to say that. I've got to believe what I just said about how the guys have all been holding it back. They'll be super inspired, and we shall repeat our 1-0 victory from earlier in the season.
Cool. Nick.
I was going to go for a little 1-0, but to keep it different, guys, I feel actually sick. I feel sick. I don't know how teams do this
all going
every
low scores,
season.
Actually. There's a 1-0 and a 1-1. What you got?
I know. I'm going to go 2-1.
I was going to say, Nicola, you can have 1-0 if you want, and I'll redo mine. Because this is a perfect game where it's not expected. Where when we win 3-1, you'll get about 66-1 on that, right?
It's true. Ian.
I am going 3-1. We will blitz them in the first half. We'll be 2 up after 15 minutes, and they will be so depressed.
Can I ask?
They can't.
Don't forget. The Carabao Cup football's different. So Mikel Arteta's team
they've got no ball, haven't they?
So we're going to annihilate them. They're gonna
4-0. Sorry, I want to change mine. 4-0 because our players know how to play with the ball and they don't. I forgot about the ball. Good fight, Nick.
Duh.
Play.
I like that. I'm sticking with 2-1. We're gonna go 2-1. I do think we'll beat them.
I'm changing mine to my regular 3-1, and I do think the way the game goes is that we will race into a lead and put the game almost beyond them after about 15 minutes.
Oh, I really hope you're
right. I think we'll score first.
Be coasting.
I do.
We'll be coasting, and then we'll get them on the break, and
I hope Alexander
and not get anywhere.
I hope Alexander Isak comes out and just scores a hat trick just to take the absolute mick.
Can you imagine?
And then does like a real, I can't even swear on this podcast, but does like a real proper, like a celebration that we seen Arsenal do yesterday for the Haaland, stay humble sort of thing.
I love that, by the way.
I really hope he scores like just loads of goals and just runs up to Mikel Arteta and headbutts him on the line or something, something like that.
Well, I'm not sure we mentioned it.
Thought you were going to sign me, bang.
I'm not sure we mentioned it at the time, but fair play to Anthony Gordon when he scored the second goal at Arsenal, going over the corner flag and doing the Thierry Henry impersonation.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need to get in their heads. So I need Alexander Isak to be at home right now in his living room practicing his celebration. That's what I need.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he is. That's what he said he was going to do.
Ian, I want to ask you one favour. With your 3-1 prediction, will you please not put a bet on? Because we actually do win sometimes 3-1 when you don't put a bet on, or cash
True.
out early, or anything really. I don't think you've ever went all the way with a bet of 3-1, have you? Well, definitely not for a long time anyway.
No, the last 2 3-1s I've been on but cashed out. When it's
That's
got
what
to
I mean, yeah.
3-1, I've cashed out, which is
Either
fine.
don't
That's
put it
a
on
winning
or only
bet.
cash out. I know, it's fine. I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
yeah.
It works when you
Okay.
don't go the whole hog.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. Please think of me, guys, when I'm sat here watching it through my fingertips, and you've got to watch it live.
Like I say,
Well,
I'll be
that'll be
watching it
harsh.
through some vodka goggles, so it's
Yeah,
fine.
liquid
I'll be
courage.
like
Love
that.
that. Yeah.
From the back
You
of
know
level
what?
7.
The other thing I'm looking forward to in this game, for some strange reason, because it's a cup match, and you get to go and choose the seats that you're in, don't you? You don't just get allocated a seat. So I went on and for some reason thought, oh yeah, I'll do that. I'm about 3 rows from the front.
You'll be on
I'm going
TV.
to have to stand up
Imagine.
to see over the advertising hoardings like that to watch the game. Because that's where I used to stand in the Leeds end when I was about
Aw.
11, 12.
Oh, I
When you
love
were a
that.
boy. Oh.
Kind of romantic. But
If I see you on TV,
I
I'll record you.
probably, yeah,
Yeah,
you should be able
you
to
know,
see
I
me.
do.
I
Right,
will.
just to the
Yeah, I know
left
him.
hand side of the goal.
He's my
I'll
Can
be
you
I'll be
imagine? The
waving.
Don! It's the Don!
I'll be the one smiling at the camera as a ball smashes off my head from one of Jacob Murphy's near misses.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Oh,
love
well, love
that.
that.
Right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. We'll start praying. But tomorrow's episode is going to be super special for you guys. Kev is hosting a full team NFL special in the build up
Yes.
to the Super Bowl at the
Forgot about that.
weekend. But
I'm
priorities is
judging
obviously still
something.
Wednesday for now.
I don't know what I'm judging. Maybe it's because I
Got no idea,
don't know
Ian.
anything about the NFL, but I am the judge. So you lot are going to
I
have
mean, I
some
don't even
sort
know
of.
what you're the judge of, ironically. But yeah, I suppose we'll find out tomorrow. He's obviously got a plan. So, yeah, that should be fun. But I will see you guys tomorrow.
Bye, hun.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.